close enough to the camera that you can't see like all of my cringy background. But welcome. Hi, I'm Forrest, whatever you want to call me. Me. I'm starting these up because I always wanted to honestly record myself making art and post it somewhere. I never really had the guts to do so until today. Yes, I obviously just got out of the shower. I'm not really doing this for anybody but myself. If you're cool and following, whatever, welcome. I wanted to start doing this because obviously I've invested a lot of time on the art. You can see a little bit of what I have here. And something that I find personal solace in life is being able to listen back to my brother's YouTube videos. He's one of the many channels going by Tetra Gamer, except his is 4 fingers grabbing a master sword because he did video game Let's Plays. And my brother died, so I want to do this for me and for those who come after. If they ever want to see me or hear from me again, I'm here. I'm not lost. I'll be here forever, and you can always come back and listen. So with that, we're gonna get started. I want to kind of make this a normal thing, so we're gonna get started by doing a new piece. I had a couple ideas in mind. I don't know how far along I'll get. I'd help if I was not drawing with an eraser to start out. It's a good look. So one of the things that I was kind of thinking about while I was brainstorming at work, I am a quality engineer at Edgewell Personal Care. I'm pretty low on the totem pole, honestly, but as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about typically when I draw, I'm completely silent listening to music, so this is going to take some getting used to. That's why this is the first video. We'll see. But the first thing that I thought of when I was coming into work today was, one, this is something that I do actually want to do, and the other is that I didn't want to just start out by making it all about Dungeons and Dragons. So Dungeons and Dragons is a huge fucking part of my life, and I am sure I'm very sure that I will talk about them and all of the characters related at some point in time. If I continue this, I would like to continue this, but if I continue this, y'all will definitely hear about Dungeons and Dragons. But for the first one, I wanted to see if I could just do something sort of for myself, sort of just an idea that popped into my head, drawing mostly just from, like, not memory, but how I'm imagining a scene in my mind. And the first thing that popped into my head was the combination of poppies. And so the flower, obviously, poppy seeds have to do with opium, pain relief, things like that. But the flower itself is very pretty. Fields of poppies are where the poppy seeds are harvested from. And combining that with a knight, like laying down in a field of poppies, sort of like, honestly, like Wizard of Oz, like the Tin Man, but just like resting. Not a knight who's had like time to take off any of their gear, but just one who's laying down in a field. I don't know if I have like any proportions right now, but hey, it's a sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. Nothing you do has to ever be perfect. It's better that it exists rather than not existing. And the only way that you can get better is by continuing to make what you think is garbo, but the world around you completely disagrees. So, I had a couple ideas in mind, but honestly, my brain kept going back to like a knight laying down in a field rather than like standing or kneeling with like the sword up. Maybe the sword's like next to him. I originally had his hands like this. Maybe they should be like more relaxed down here. But then it kind of looks like he's clutching his stomach. I guess his fingers could be like interlaced. I don't know why I said he. It doesn't really matter. I gave him a gender. The sword lying in the grass next to him. Not necessarily solemn, but you definitely probably could get those vibes from this piece. And my main thing is I'm really, honest to God, terrible at drawing any backgrounds. So having a piece which is almost reliant on this background to make sense or to kind of look good will be a challenge for me. I'm not expecting it to be perfect. I do have a reference of a knight up on screen in front of me. I literally Google searched knight. There's like 50,000 whatever millions of photos to choose from. I'm picking one that I kind of like the style of, but is not necessarily laying down like the one I'm looking at is on his knees. And then I also have a tab that has like poppies. So just literally the flower. So I can get an idea of what colors go into the poppy itself. And I sense I already, but so that's his head. But while I do this, I might just ramble on, go on tangents. So yeah. when I listen back to videos, either of myself, of other people, but a lot of people will point out and say, "Oh, I hate." I'm plugging my phone, laptop in, because it is dying. But a lot of people will point out and say, "I hate how my voice sounds," and I'm not. Occasionally, I'll understand what that kind of means, but in general, the sound of my voice doesn't truly bother me that much. It kind of just is. Maybe when I was younger it bothered me more, but it hasn't bugged me in some time, if it has. So I don't really mind listening back to anything. So I know some people have that, I don't know, that caveat about either making videos or art or whatever. I never really had that. I've always kind of been okay with hearing my voice. But at the same time, I don't plan on editing these. I truly don't. I want to have the most minimal editing possible. I hope I'm not too loud, so if you ever decide, whoever's watching, to fall asleep, I would be honored, obviously, for that. And I don't want you to think that I'm cocky for saying that, because I have people in my life who, if I could listen to their voice, my brother's one of them. He didn't used to be when I made the videos with him. He definitely wasn't. But like my boyfriend, Gino, he his voice will like easily put me to sleep. He hates the sound of his own voice. He thinks that he reads so badly, and I see where he's coming from. He doesn't have, you know, the cadence or whatever you want to call it, that you'd think of when you're thinking of like a narrator or someone who's, you know, professionally paid. But that's, at the end of the day, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a bedtime story. And maybe on this we'll tell stories. Maybe I'll make doodles like I used to in grade school, and we'll tell a story with doodles. But for now, we're drawing a knight laying in a grove of poppies. He's probably asleep, to be honest. Whether it's the drugs, it's been a long day. He's probably sleeping. Been a long day, to be honest. Hey, I think we could all use some time in a bed of flowers, resting, recovering, looking up at looking up at the sky, at the cloud watching is the word I was looking for, and just breathing. I think we could all just use some time breathing. And right now I'm just kind of blocking in where I think the grass and stems would generally go. We'll definitely, quote, like, hide some of this to show that it's kind of like he's in it. This angle, and I don't know how long. I have the little timer going in the bottom. I don't know how long I'll draw for. We'll see how far I get. And I could have gone with different angles. I think I just wanted to take something and draw it. It didn't have to be perfect. Like I said, nothing you do ever has to be perfect. It's okay if it sucks. It's okay not to be good, as stupid as that sounds. But well, I'll try to do this a little bit every night. I mean, maybe like 20-minute increments. I know that I see we're already at like 13ish. But if I can help anyone in the future find solace in it, I will. As you can see, I don't really have a specific design for the sword. I'm kind of copying the one that's on my screen right now, which is like a Dark Souls-esque sword. I've never played Dark Souls. I do respect massively anyone who has played the game, because I don't have like a combative bone in my body, and it shows even through video games. I don't even have the want to play. Oh, maybe he's holding a poppy too. I don't even have like the skill that it would take to be able to play something like that. I find it very incredible, but I cannot do that myself. Let's round out the hands a little bit more detail. And I think you can pretty much see what I'm going for here. Nothing super duper special. Just a knight. I don't know what oath he's a part of, what vows he's taken, who knighted him. I suppose we can make up a story as we go along the way. So this knight is from a small, well, he originally came from a small town in, I want to say West Jersey, but like, I feel like, isn't that like Game of Thrones or something? Feel free to fucking correct me in the comments. But at the same time, I don't care that much. I know Westeros. Maybe the Westery. Oh, that's connecting to a song that I've heard. He's a knight who was originally from a small town in the west, and he just got done with a long day of training, and he's pining after a young man or woman, I don't fucking care. He's pining after someone, and he went to this poppy field after a long day of training, and he is hoping that he can figure out a way to win their heart, because he doesn't feel like he's very charismatic, although he is. He's like the most charismatic of all the knights. And at the end of the day, he plays like, do they love me? Do they love me not? With the poppy, all while getting a little bit high from it. I feel like this sword is not quite big enough for this dude. He's also not quite like as buff, but at the same time, I feel like armor kind of hides the buffness. I can kind of do a little cheeky expand. Let's not get his elbow in there. There we go. Nice big sword. And then, so it messed up our flowers a little bit, but that's okay. So the next thing that I like to do, I've gotten a pretty decent sketch in here. I usually do 2 rounds of sketching before I do like 2 rounds of, well, maybe it's 2 rounds of sketching, or it's 1 round of true sketching and then 2 rounds of line art. So I do this, and then I swap over to a thicker brush. Oh, let me go. So one brush that doesn't fade, so this one has a little fade on it. Let me make it a little bigger so you can see. So it has like the weight variation to it, but in terms of like line art, I prefer more crisp lines, even if my line art really isn't the best. I do prefer that like crisper line art as I'm drawing. So yeah, I'm just going in and trying to kind of map out. So you can see it's still a little like furry. Unfortunately, I have picked up the habit of drawing furry, which is a little bit frowned upon, I know, in the art community in general. But that's partly why I do this is like the after post line art or post sketch pre line art, where it'll be very not ironed out, still feathery, but much more clear in definition of the route that I want to take. So we need like a bowl back here, because there's still a lot of details in this piece, even after the even after even after the sketch that really aren't ironed out. So like how the clothes fold, things like that. Um, and like exactly how like the shine might lay. Those are things that I sort of map out in the second line art phase. And then he's got like these grills, which I should probably map out like this. So where the sketch is kind of getting an idea for like the general vibe, I would say, of the piece that I want to make. The pre-line art is getting an idea for uh, like how exactly I want the shapes to sit. So whether or not it really makes physical sense, this is how I'm drawing it. So he's got these grills in here, but getting like the it helps me block it a little bit better. But you can just kind of tell from how I'm sketching. Like this is an additional sketch basically. It may not be like as efficient, but I feel like personally it helps me nail down exactly, you know, how many of what to put where, and like this won't actually be there. So what I'm circling right now won't be there in the final sketch, but it did help me with like mapping it out, and that's something that I feel like was a little bit above the basic sketch layer. I don't know how much sense that makes. So we are rounding out 22 minutes, so I might call it here. I'll save the piece as Night Poppy. Although I think this is probably going to be a daytime scene, so I don't know how much that'll make sense for like the play on words aspect of it. But yeah, that was the base sketch and initial like post sketch of Night Poppy. Thank you for tuning in. I'll save this off screen. I promise not to make too much more progress on it, hopefully before tomorrow. I love you all. I hope you have a lovely evening and get some well-deserved rest.